Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. Ours is a place where dreams take flight, voices are heard, and stories are shared. This is where cultures meet, connections are formed, and ideas are transformed into action. This is your destination for authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations. We're where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover our world of education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our USA Global TV channel and download our USA Global TV app. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. With heartfelt thanks to our executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, music scored by Yifei Tang from Cloud Road Music, creative direction by Paul Garcia, and I'm Al Cini, and I'm very proud to be part of the USA Global TV and Radio family. So join us here at USA Global TV and Radio. Make us your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited. Thank you for being a part of our global community. Let's inspire together.
Hello and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Tracy Cram Perkins, and our show today is Dementia Home Care. I invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, USA Global TV and Radio. I am a 4-time dementia caregiving survivor and the author of Dementia Home Care, How to Prepare Before, During, and After, which is now available in audio. And I am very excited to let you know that joining me today is our guest, Allison Schreier, president and co-founder of Zinnia TV. Welcome, Allison.
Oh, it's great to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
I have been wanting to talk to you for quite a while, and I'm just so glad that we're actually finally getting the chance to chat. Yeah. But for those in the audience who don't know you, would you be willing to share your caregiving story and what brought you here?
Sure. Okay. So my caregiving story, I do not have 4 people who I cared for, Tracy. My heart really goes out to you. My husband was diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia, behavioral variant, when he was 47 years old. Our kids were 12 and 15 at the time. Shortly after he was diagnosed, my stepdad, who lived on the other coast, I'm in Seattle, and he was near Boston, he was diagnosed with vascular dementia, and my stepmom was somebody who most likely had Alzheimer's disease. She was not diagnosed, but spending time with her, it was pretty clear that that was the direction that she was headed. And so I was caring for my husband locally, and then being the new expert in the family, I was also advising my parents on how to care for their spouses. And so that was the catalyst. I don't know that I would be working in the dementia sphere if it had not been for those experiences.
You know, that seems to be how all of us got our start. Is it kind of came out of, I shouldn't say out of the blue, but in an unexpected manner. So it's very, and you just don't know when it's happening. And your husband, you said, had frontotemporal dementia. So that had to be really difficult for you to care for him and figure out what to do.
Yeah, I would say the hardest part was figuring out what was wrong, right? So we're so used to the typical things that we'd expect to see in a person. Like with dementia, we expect that somebody has lost their memory. They can't remember where they put the keys, or they can't remember how to find the bathroom, right? Or they get lost going to familiar places. So the symptoms that we expect with dementia are typically aligned with Alzheimer's disease. Frontotemporal dementia typically strikes people who are younger, A, and B, there is no memory issues, and there is no issue with finding one's way someplace. Instead, there's sort of a wholesale personality change that has to do with the diminishing of the skills that are associated with the frontal lobe. And so that's executive functioning. So the ability to plan anything and follow through on plans, the ability to see things from another person's perspective, the in my husband's case, he just started acting more and more like a teenager. And my own kids were 12 and 15 at the time. So it was a very, very strange scenario of trying to reprimanding him more than I was reprimanding the children, because the things that he was doing just didn't make any sense. And they were so not like him. And I guess reprimanding isn't the right word. It was about getting deeply curious about, and yeah, there was anger because he had been misdiagnosed as having adult onset ADHD. And in my world, I know a lot of people with ADD or ADHD, and they get on with their lives. They keep lists, they take medications. And he was just, he took medications, but they didn't make a difference. And any kind of a list, even I got to a point where I would put sticky notes on the cabinet door of like the things you need to do today in the order you need to do them. And I would be doing my thing and I'd come back and say, so where are you on your list? And he's like, what list? So I was irritated much of the time, and getting a diagnosis was hard because here he is, like we started looking for help when he was like 42. And so we're taking this 42-year-old guy to see neurologists and neuropsychologists and therapists, and nobody could figure out what was going on with him. Even having an MRI was not productive because it was not read properly. So it was a difficult time.
And what year was that, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, that was 2012 that he was finally diagnosed.
Okay.
So his trajectory was that he lost his job. Well, actually, the earlier trajectory, one of the things that was a symptom of his was that he would just sort of unilaterally make these decisions that were sort of like, I kind of think I should be involved in that decision. Like, really? You're going to quit your job at Microsoft and go back to school? Shouldn't I be a part of that conversation? Because we're going to be without an income for some number of years. But he was like, oh, I quit Microsoft today. What? And so, yeah, he went back to graduate school, wasn't able to complete graduate school. So like 6 years in, he finally gave up. And so, anyway, so those kinds of like big decisions that were being made were really problematic. Things like spending lots of money in crazy ways. Every day it seemed there would be cases of wine that would arrive. And we had our wine cellar was overflowing with wine, or buying. He got really into a particular card game and he was constantly buying cards. That sort of like odd behaviors had been going on for years before we actually got that diagnosis in 2012.
Wow. Okay, I may have to ask you back and we'll talk about FTD for a while.
Yeah, it's a different animal, isn't it? It's really unusual. And you know, at his variant, like people are like, oh, FTD, that's what Bruce Willis has. Bruce Willis has the aphasia version of frontotemporal dementia, which means that we start with language loss. In Evan's case, my husband, it started with the behavioral variant, means that it starts with this shift in behaviors. He did fairly early on lose language. And because frontotemporal dementia is sort of like a close cousin to ALS, he also started having that sort of palsic kind of tightening of muscles that would be associated with more of like an ALS kind of diagnosis.
Wow. So, okay, then how did this all lead you into Zinnia TV? Because I can see, I don't see quite the connection here.
Right, nor should you. It doesn't make any sense at all. What led to Zinnia is the experience that I had visiting Evan in long-term care. And he had gone mostly nonverbal, and it was very difficult to have a meaningful connection, a meaningful conversation, because I, as the person with the healthy brain who is visiting, am really the one who needs to drive the conversation. And it tends to become very transactional, Tracy, where I would show up and I would be like, oh my gosh, you should have seen the line at the grocery store, or right, traffic was terrible. And so there was no like going deep. But what I found is that if I brought visual aids, that really helped inspire me to drive a conversation and him to follow along and be a part of it. So I would bring pictures, I would bring magazines. And eventually I started figuring out that, oh, I can actually use my phone because Apple has this built-in product, their Memories product, that allows me to stitch together images, photos, and videos, and create a little video about a particular topic. And it's set to music, and it is gently paced, and it was really easy for him to follow along if we watched those. Conversely, at the same time, one of the things that was very troubling for me is that I would show up at the long-term care community and find him parked literally because he was in a wheelchair in front of the television. And while he was in front of the television, he might be pounding his chest. He might be shouting out expletives because those were the only words that he had left. He might be asleep. But most often, Tracy, he was just sort of like wide-eyed looking around the room like, get me out of here. And I thought, okay, so television really doesn't seem to be working for him. But yet when I play these little videos that are very slow paced and have a very specific topic, there are no characters, there's no dialogue, he seems to be able to follow that. So I just started doing research. I came upon a paper called Television Viewing and People with Dementia Living in Long-Term Care. I was like, wow, that's exactly what I'm looking for. And what I discovered is that this researcher, Dr. Kate DiMedeiros, and her students had gone into long-term care communities and shared regular television programs with people living with dementia. And what they found is that for the most part, people just kind of checked out. However, if there was any one program that got the most attention from the people, like they actually seemed to be able to engage with it, the one show was called Venice. And it was basically images, slow paced, set to music. And I thought, okay, well, that's what I'm doing on my phone. And so I started getting curious. I wound up reaching out to friends at Apple. My background is in technology. So I had friends there, reached out to them and said, I want to talk to whoever made this program that I'm using on this app or whatever it is that I'm using on my iPhone and my iPad, because I need more content. Like I can show my husband videos made from my photos, but I don't have photos of some of the things that he loved best. I don't have many photos of skiing or photos of whitewater rafting. So how do I get those? And also, how do I share them with other people? Because they're working well for us. I'd love to get them into the hands of other caregivers. That conversation, that sleuthing led me to a conversation with a guy who had actually designed the product that I was using on my phone. And he instantly understood what I was talking about. He had this sort of like forehead slapping moment where he said, oh my gosh, I can't believe we never thought about that use case of using these videos to support people with cognitive decline. And he lived in Vancouver, British Columbia. I live in Seattle. We agreed that we should meet and just talk about, is there something here? And so I drove up to Vancouver. And by the way, the anniversary of that meeting was just 2 days ago. And it was 7 years ago that we had this conversation, and that led to the development of Zinnia.
Wow. And congratulations, by the way. I mean, 7 years. That's incredible. So,
Yeah.
Allison, when the I guess the engine started rolling on this and you started putting stuff together, you didn't have a platform yet, I'm assuming. Is that correct? Or what had
That
you
is
done?
correct.
Yeah,
So for the first 2 years, all we did was build content. So we needed to have a delivery mechanism, but we started off with the delivery mechanism just being a website. We had the videos available for free on a website. We were extremely fortunate that a philanthropist in Canada loved what we were trying to do, and he donated money that was matched by a Canadian governmental entity that got us into a research project that lasted 2 years at the University of British Columbia in conjunction with Vancouver General Hospital. So as we were building content, the content was being tested in long-term care communities, and we were testing it ourselves, going to people's homes, going to long-term care communities, and we started figuring out what was really working. And that led to the discovery that it's not going to work if the delivery mechanism is a website. It needs to be super easy. And so that is when we developed the app, which came out in the fall of 2022. And then 2023 was really a year of discovery for us as a company, because prior to that, everybody had just been working part-time. We weren't sure whether we really had something. We weren't sure where it was going to go. 2023, we wound up getting accepted in some really meaningful accelerator programs. They were kind of like boot camp for startups. And it was a series of programs that we got accepted into that gave us recognition, that gave us some funding, and helped us understand, how do we actually do this as a business? So I really think of 2023, 2024 as being the year that we, in earnest, started trying to get Zinnia into people's hands.
Oh, Allison, that is so phenomenal. You must have had a guiding star just leading or following you. I'm not sure which, but just, I mean, all that hard work and then having it finally just all come together like that. And then I didn't realize that it had only been since 2023 that you were really out there. I mistakenly assumed you'd been here much longer. It just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, the videos, as I mentioned, were on that website, and they were free. During COVID, we really were trying to push people to just go look at them and give us feedback. So yeah, we're kind of babies, even though we've been, like, 7 years ago is when we first started thinking about it. But it's only within the last few years that we've really been putting a lot of energy into it.
Oh, congratulations. That is so
Thanks.
exciting. And I'm happy to be part of that. I mean, I've been telling people about you for like the last year. I mean, I became aware of you through the Mods Awards,
Oh,
actually.
yes.
And that's how I first learned about you. And then I talked to both Lori Clear and Nikki at Jordan at Mirador. And I was,
Yes.
I just admire your work. I just
Oh,
genuinely
thank
admire your
you.
work.
Thank you.
So I would like to know, how are you using the television programs to help people with dementia? Because I noticed that you have adaptive television there for leading them with activities of daily living. So how does that
Sure.
work?
Okay. So we think of the television as being the box through which we deliver our tool. So yes, our videos so we have hundreds and hundreds of videos, and the videos are meant to be both engaging for and digestible by people who are living with dementia. I'm just going to, like, a brief little segue. I facilitated a panel recently at the Michigan Assisted Living Association. And the name of the panel, or the title, was Low Tech and No Tech Solutions for People Living with Dementia. The panelists all had dementia. I asked them a question out of the box to get things started, which was, what do you like to watch on TV these days? And all but one of them, so 6 people who are living with dementia, who are obviously not terribly low functioning. I mean, they're able to get to Michigan to attend a panel, right? And all of them, 6 of them, said the same thing, which was, oh, I don't watch TV anymore because I can't keep track of the characters. I can't follow the plot. The audio and video are both happening so fast, and at the same time, I can't hang on to that. I either I feel my anxiety rising, I either turn it off, or I leave the room. And I think back to my husband in a wheelchair in front of a TV, pounding his chest because he can't leave the room. And I think that what not a lot of people understand is that regular TV is really hard for even people with who are early in their disease to pay attention to and to feel good about. And so what we deliver are videos that are specifically designed to be digestible by people and enjoyable by people who have these deficits that are brought on by dementia. The videos that you're talking about, the activity of daily living videos, are videos that model the thing that we are about to do. So if we're going to drink water, you can imagine that I go to my 85-year-old mom and I say, Mom, it's time for us to drink water. Well, she might say, okay, thank you. Or she might say, I'm 85 years old. I don't need you to tell me that I need a glass of water. Or she might say, oh, no, thank you. I just had water, when she didn't, but she doesn't know that because her memory is shot. So instead, what I could do is I could put a couple of glasses of water on the coffee table. We can sit together and we can watch a beautiful video that just shows people drinking water. And at some point, and dogs drinking water, and kitty cats drinking water. And at some point during the video, I offer her a glass of water. And now we have normalized it She's seeing people do the thing. It makes all the sense in the world to do the thing that everybody else is doing. And so we have videos for let's take medication, let's use the toilet, let's get dressed, let's shower, let's eat breakfast. And we're starting to add new videos to that category, which are simply videos of somebody eating a meal, just to coach through, like, pick up your fork, spear the food, put it in your mouth, chew it, and swallow it, because there are people whose dementia prevents them from being able to even follow that process flow of eating a meal. So anyway, that's what the ADL videos are all about. It's not instructional like the ones I just described, pick up your fork, yes, but most of them, like let's take medication or let's use the toilet, simply model. They show people doing the thing that we're about to do. And in our research, which we've done a lot of other research since the one that I mentioned previously. In our research, what we've discovered is that if people watch these videos on a daily basis, it becomes part of the routine and takes away anxiety that's associated with those activities.
Oh, that is okay. That is just mind blowing in a way to know that we can reproduce those patterns for people simply by having them watching a relaxed video that is at the speed that they are living. And thank you for figuring that out, first of all. I mean, that's a really incredible gift. Now, one of the things that I learned about all of this is one of my friends' moms was a big sewing person, and she was doing also. I had her watch one of the videos, and they've now subscribed, by the way. But they were loving. Her mom actually said, "I can do that." That was the first time she'd said anything in, I don't know, 6 months. She goes, "I can do that." I was like, "Oh my God, that freaked us out." But it was exciting too. And so, but you also have animal videos. So I've seen the horse videos, the cat videos, the dog videos. I mean, there's puppies and babies, and how did you come up with all of these ideas?
Wow, that's a great question. And these videos that you're talking about, like the sewing video, I've heard other people tell a story of that same video, that it has caused somebody who was nonverbal to start talking because there was an unlock, right? So if we're showing you something that is meaningful to you and taps into your memories, it can unlock a pathway to connection and conversation. So I'm going to answer your question, but the main use cases for Zinnia are that it fosters connection and conversation. So it allows us to actually connect. It reduces anxiety. So if in the moment somebody is starting to get upset, if we're able to share with something that is visually distracting in a powerful way, that it can actually bring them back from that escalation. It can de-escalate the moment. And then, of course, the activity of daily living. And then we have videos that help with activities. The way that it started, though, is that I went to memory care communities and I walked from door to, with permission, I walked from door to door, and they have those, many memory care communities have those like shadow boxes on the outside of a person's room hanging on the wall that are all about the person. And so here lives Jim. Jim loves baseball. He loves basketball. He loves the Navy. And so I just started jotting down, like, what are the interests of these people who are living in long-term care? And that was the first set of videos that we produced, was all based on what we knew some people in memory care were interested in. And we would see that there were themes, like a lot of people were interested in babies. A lot of people were interested in baseball, for instance. And so what we have tried to do in our interests channel is it's sort of the like something for everyone channel. So there are videos about baking, about fly fishing, about gardening, about hiking in the woods, about flying an airplane. I mean, it's just all over the place in the hopes that we can find something to connect over. And not only does it allow me as a family member to watch a video that I know is meaningful for my mom. She loves dogs. Let's watch the dogs video. But what we hear, we get great feedback from people in long-term care communities who say, I never would have known that she was crazy about cats. But when we watched that cat's video, she was riveted. And she started telling me a story about her own cat. She'd never told me that story before. And so they can actually, it's like mining, right? We're mining for memories. And the Zinnia videos help us do that.
Oh, that is so awesome, Allison.
Yeah.
I know how hard it was in my world prior to knowing anything, trying to get connection, trying
Yeah.
to have conversations, or even, it became so one-sided. At one point, my mom was the first
Mhm.
person I took care of, and I ended up just reading to her because it was the only way I knew how to connect. That
Yep.
was the only thing I could think of, was just reading to her, and I knew her favorite mystery series, and that's what we did because it was very simple.
Oh,
And so we read literally through the entire series before she passed. And so it was, and so also the creating the memories that you're doing for the caregivers. I mean, that's just incredible gift, Allison. It's just
oh,
incredible. And
thank you.
so how have you heard the feedback from caregivers? How is it helping them?
Yeah. So, for instance, there's a fellow Arnie who's been a real fan of Zinnia, and I have ongoing conversations with him. And he said, "Here's what I love. When my wife starts to get to a point of where I see her agitation rising, I would always feel my own agitation rise because it's like, okay, boy, what are we going to do this time to bring her down?" And he said, once we got Zinnia and I discovered that there were certain videos that she was fascinated by, it's like I had that in my back pocket. And when she started getting agitated, I didn't feel my own anxiety rise because I knew that within minutes I would be able to bring her back to a state of calm by showing her these videos. And so he said it greatly reduced his own stress. And what we find when we do surveys of our subscribers is that almost 80% of family caregivers say that they use Zinnia, pardon me, that by using Zinnia, it reduces their own stress. And so our thesis really is, if he's happy, I'm happy. And so we're trying to find our goal is to help the caregiver reduce their own stress by knowing that there is a solution. So anyway, so that's one kind of story that we hear, but we also hear from people who say who use Zinnia for respite, right? Like, oh my God, my grandmother is so taken by whatever the video might be that I can reliably leave the room and go get something done and know that she's going to be okay. And so for us, we were a little concerned because we thought, gosh, we don't want to create a problem where we are inviting people to to just park them in front of a TV because now the TV is okay. That isn't okay. These videos should really, as much as possible, be watched together to create connection and engagement. However, what a beautiful thing that I can get little snippets of respite by knowing that I've got something that is meaningful for the person who is watching the TV. And to me, respite, caregiver gold, right? I'm sure you know too, Tracy, that we get to a point where we really, wow, we desperately need, in order to take care of ourselves, to get a little bit of time to ourselves.
Oh, you've had me at hello on that one. I mean,
Yeah,
it's so important. I can think of all the creative ways my husband and I had to figure out how to get downtime, even if it was just sneaking out for 15 minutes to go buy deodorant at the grocery store.
right.
That it became so epic that we looked forward to it.
I totally hear you. Yeah, absolutely. Like, oh my God, I peeled a carrot today. Right?
Exactly. I mean, it's just funny, and you don't realize the power of just those few moments until you actually live them. So
Yeah.
I think that's a gift that you are seriously bestowing on a lot of people. Now, I have a question about how is this being used in care communities?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
um, a few different ways. So many of the care communities that use Zinnia have it both on a tablet and on a TV. On the tablet, they use it for one-on-one care. Like when I greet the person in 408 to wish them a good morning, I play the good morning video. Like I sit on the bed, we watch this 5-minute video together. It shows the sun rising. It shows people getting out of bed and taking a shower and getting dressed and eating breakfast. And it allows me to kind of prepare him for his day. So that's one instance. They also might use, before they're about to take the person in 302 and get them dressed or help them get dressed, they might first sit with them with the tablet and watch the getting dressed video to just set the stage. This is the thing we're about to do. On the TV, they sometimes have Zinnia running in a common room, like a lobby or a pass-through space where they just have Zinnia running through the day, and people will stop by, residents will look at it. One of the care staff will come over, they'll have a little conversation, the person moves on. So it's just sort of like a little gathering spot. They also use the videos to drive activities. So we just completed a 2-month research project that was funded by within the state of Massachusetts. It's called the Digital Health Program. Anyway, the Digital Health Sandbox. And so Zinnia was used in activities in both assisted living and memory care. And memory care was far and away the big winner, because they found that not only did Zinnia help to drive activities. So for instance, if we're going to go for a walk and people are resistant to walking, we're going to give them a reason to walk. So maybe we'll watch the dogs video. And then before we go for our walk, we say, well, today we're going to see how many dogs we count on our walk. Or we play the autumn leaves video if it's the fall, and we say, we're going to go out and look for autumn leaves. There are also Zinnia videos that are an activity in and of themselves. So one of the things that we make available on our app is these activity idea documents. And so it will give about 10 different activities and the Zinnia videos that support those activities. Like I just talked about, going for a walk, for instance, or if we're going to be doing a gardening activity, let's start by watching the gardening video, and then we'll do planting, for instance, putting seeds into cups. But we also have videos, as I just mentioned, that are activity, like standalone activities. And these are trivia and quiz videos. And so, and I could go on and on about those. The engine to build these was actually, it was built by my son, who was 15 when his dad was diagnosed, and he's got a master's degree in computer science. And so he built this mechanism that allows us to rapidly construct quiz videos using AI. And it's pretty cool. We've come up with some great quizzes. There are also sing-along videos, there are exercise videos. And so all of these are used both by family members, but also by people who are caregivers and activity folks in long-term care communities.
Oh, that's incredible. You must be so proud of him. I mean, that's just an accomplishment.
Oh my gosh. I am monstrously proud of him. And I think for a long time, for both of my kids, it has been really hard to just sort of figure everything out. And when he decided to do his master's in computer science, his dad had been a software engineer. And so he'd kind of stayed away from that, but he discovered that he loved it. And now, with the experience that he had working at Zinnia, he only recently graduated, and he is looking for a role, and he wants to do something that's in support of people living with dementia. So that's pretty, like this is where we started, right? Our conversation was how so many people who are in the dementia sphere are people who are trying to help those coming behind them.
And it's such a driver. It hits a chord, and part of that healing is helping, going through and helping somebody. And what you are doing is so phenomenal. I imagine that there are just general caregivers that also watch the videos just for like that 5 minutes of respite, just so they can calm down watching the horse galloping or the whatever it is. It's
absolutely. We had a team meeting in Vancouver. The whole team got together, and we decided that after dinner we would just sit down and have a meeting and talk. Anyway, we would have Zinnia playing in the background, and so we put on the bees video, and about 15 minutes later we're like, wait a minute, we're supposed to be having a meeting, but we're all like just watching the bees. They're really quite they really set you at ease watching those videos. Yes, they're quite a draw.
Well, and I commend you for that, because we live such a fast-paced life nowadays. Just having that moment to just reflect and just sit there and lose yourself in watching the bees.
Yeah, and we also hear from people with mild cognitive impairment who use the Zinnia videos to reset themselves. We had a lovely call with a group of people who all are living with mild cognitive impairment or who are very early in their dementia diagnosis. And one of the women shared about how she said, every day, without failure, I reach a point where I start becoming a person who I really don't like very much. And I find that if I watch, it was a video called Blooms. She said, I find that if I watch the Blooms video, by the time it's completed, and it's not very long, like less than 10 minutes, by the time it's completed, I am back to being the person I wish I was. And I love that.
Oh, that is so cool. We have gone so fast. We've already got less than 5 minutes left. I do want to touch it on one other thing. You have the Thriving with Dementia program that you started. Is that still going? And can you tell us a little bit about that?
It's going loosely. Yeah. So again, going back to this idea of, as people who have been caregivers, we try to find ways to give back. And one of the things that I started doing early on when my husband was living in long-term care is I figured out that, like, wow, I've learned a lot. And there are so many things that I wish I had known before my husband had dementia, but why would I have, right? And so I thought, okay, I'm going to find a way to disseminate this information to other caregivers. And so I started working with libraries and churches, and for free, I would just go hang out, and I would have the talk that I developed was called How to Be Friends with People Living with Dementia. And eventually I decided to create a company called Thriving with Dementia because I thought, I bet I need a job, right? Like I needed a job. And I thought, okay, I'm getting pretty good at doing these talks, and they feel so good. It feels so good to me to share this information. Maybe I could actually turn this into a thing where I could have that be my job. And so I earned certifications. I went through TIPA SNOS training, and I became certified to teach in Washington State the classes that are mandated for anybody who works in long-term care on dementia and mental health. And so that became my job as Thriving with Dementia, is that I would teach in long-term care settings. And then from there, I wound up getting a gig at the University of Washington, where I helped launch and then facilitate a program aimed at helping doctors become better equipped to detect, diagnose, and support people with dementia. And so it was that work that was being done by Thriving with Dementia that earned me a MODS award, which was really exciting.
Oh, congratulations on that, first of all. So how did the MODS award help you? Did that help you more towards Zinnia, or did that help you with Thriving with Dementia, or how were you able to use that?
I think more than anything, to just kind of as a credential, right? To be able to say, like, I'm legit, right? This stuff that I'm doing is actually helping people, and I have won this award. And then the same year that I won that award, which was 2020, I also, caregiving.com named me the Visionary Caregiver of the Year, which was really exciting. But that was for the work that I was doing at Zinnia, which was kind of just starting to happen, right? And so I think that any time that you're able to point to some victories like that people have recognized you in a meaningful way, that it just sort of helps legitimize the work that you do. So, yeah.
Oh, so cool. So we have a little under 2 minutes. What is the big takeaway or one big wish you have for the caregiving community?
I think that that education is key. That as a caregiver, if you understand a little bit about the lived experience of the person that you're supporting, it creates empathy. And that without empathy, you cannot be a caregiver who treats the person that you're caring for with dignity and respect and reduce your own stress, because you need to have strategies. And those strategies have to be based on what the lived experience is of the person that you support. And so I pay a lot of attention to programming and videos that are people with dementia telling their own story. And when I was at that conference in Michigan, one of the things that one of the people living with dementia said that really touched me deeply was, "We are your teachers. Caregivers, we are your teachers. Pay attention to us, and you'll understand how to support us in ways that make it easier for you and more meaningful for us." And so that's, I guess, the big thing that I hope more people can grab onto, is this idea that we have an opportunity just through the person that we're supporting to understand better how to support them in a meaningful way. But it's important that we understand, number one is just communication skills. How do you communicate effectively with a person living with dementia? So I encourage everybody to go out and get that kind of education.
Oh, Allison, thank you so much for joining us. And now that we're out of time, and here is her website, please. Everybody go check this out. It's really, really cool. We will be back in September, on September 16th, for the next episode of the Dementia Home Care Show. In the meantime, you can go over to our YouTube channel at USA Global TV and Radio and look for the Dementia Home Care playlist, where you'll find all of our past episodes. Thank you to our wonderful producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, for all of her hard work behind the scenes today. And thank you to our sponsors for making this possible. See you next time, everyone.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Tracy Cram Perkins, a dementia caregiving survivor teaching how to balance care with peace of mind. #1 resource for dementia caregivers. It's the book Dementia Home Care: How to Prepare Before, During, and After. Over 17,000 copies sold of this must-have guide. And now a testimonial from Tracy Smith.
If I was to describe this book to someone who is going through a similar situation, I would underscore how important it is to have some sort of a tool or a guidebook to help you through certain stages. And there's so many, it's such an unknown topic to the average person. And to have this as a reference is essential. It's going to help you get through it personally, as well as help your loved one manage.
To learn more, go to TracyCramPerkins.com. Tracy Cram Perkins is an award-winning author. She's also the host of Dementia Home Care television show. Watch it here on USA Global TV and Radio. 5 little-known secrets for dementia caregivers with Tracy Cram Perkins.
Hi there, I am Tracy Cram Perkins, the host of the Dementia Home Care Show here on USA Global TV and Radio. I am also the author of the book of the same name. And you'll see this QR code. This is for an extended version of the same talk. So if you want to see the full hour-long version, feel free to scan the code and go to that website. Stick with me. We'll talk about 5 little-known secrets to make it a little easier to do dementia caregiving. What you're seeing on the left-hand side is a healthy aged brain, age 55 and above. The one you're seeing on the right is an Alzheimer's disease brain. It is in moderate disease. It is shrinking. It has holes in it. The memories that were in those holes no longer exist. When you're learning something, let's say in kindergarten, you learn how to tie your shoelace. Well, then by the time you're in 2nd grade, your brain remembers that information from tying the shoelace and applies it so you can learn more quickly how to tie more complex knots. So the brain is hardwired to do this for us. So it helps us learn faster so it doesn't take us long to acquire knowledge. The brain is looking for the information and they pick the closest to wherever that hole is. Let's look at some tips that we can use to help do that.
These are 5 simple tools you can use as a dementia caregiver to help your loved one. The whiteboard is a useful tool in recording the day's activities and the answers to repetitive questions. The calendar clock is a very useful tool to orient your loved one on the day, the date, and the time, and remind them of upcoming appointments. The communication cards are a great tool to bridge the gap when they can no longer tell you what's wrong. And then there's the pill minder for when your loved one is still able to take pills but needs prompting. The final tool I want to share with you is the memory book. It tells your loved one's story. It's a great tool for distraction, redirection, also as a conversation starter, and telling you where they are in their story so you know how to answer their questions.
Music is probably the most powerful tool in your toolbox after laughter. Music is a way to maintain connection. It sticks with your brain longer than any other thing, including reading. When you're having an issue with somebody, you can play their favorite music if you move them to another room, something that makes them happy, or you can start singing songs together from their childhood. These are some of my favorite books for caregivers. My show airs on the third Tuesday of every month, and you can view past episodes on YouTube. Thank you, everyone.
This program has been brought to you in part by Tracy Cram Perkins. Connect with her and order her book at tracycramperkins.com. For more information about Alzheimer's disease, support resources, and how you can help, contact the Alzheimer's Association at 1-800-272-3900 or visit their website at www.alz.org. They offer 24/7 helpline support and a wealth of information to assist you and your loved ones.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dies. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.